Hey everybody, it's Jeff again with Chief Classics, and today we're working on this beautiful 1966 Pontiac Catalina. So we bought this thing last year over in Illinois with a 1967 Grand Prix convertible. Both of them have been sitting a long time, both of them have locked up engines. The Grand Prix is kind of rough, but this Catalina is pretty good. So we are going to take the motor out of it and put another one in. I've got a 1965 Grand Prix that has a great running 389, a good working turbo 400, but the body and frame is unfortunately in really bad shape. So we're gonna take the drivetrain out of that Grand Prix and stick it in this Catalina. So let's get some doors open and take a look at this thing. As you can see at first glance, this thing is pretty good. Body's not all bad, but it is a Midwest car. There's some Bondo going on down here and some bubbles coming back out. Door's really nice. Rocker, the same story. Some Bondo, this doesn't quite line up perfectly. And same with the lower quarters. It's got a lot of dust on it. But upper quarters don't look bad. I don't think it's ever been in a major wreck. How's the bottom behind? Yeah, it's got Bondo in it too, but it's hard telling how old this paint job is. You know, typically if something has a ton of Bondo in it over the years, it tends to pop out, and in this case it is in spots, but not all over the car. How about back here? Yeah, it's got a little layer of mud on it. Typically the passenger side rusts out worse than the driver's side too. Yeah, same story back here, right here. Doors are good, but yeah, the bottom of the car has some mud. But it's pretty straight, not many dents or dings in it. The top is all right. It's not great. As you can see, the fitment's pretty poor, and the back window fell down. It's a zipper deal, but I don't know. Well, we might be able to zip it back up, actually. Yeah, we just may. Doesn't look like anything tore. Yeah, that might work. Cool. Well, let's get in the trunk of this thing and see what's going on in there. See what kind of story that tells. I know I've been in here, but I can't remember what's going on. Okay, is that our only hubcap? I'm missing one on that side. How about this side? Cool, we have all our hubcaps. I don't know what that's for. Got HVAC lower duct. Looks like parade boot for our top. We're gonna be doing drum work because that's an entire back. Yeah, that's an entire back drum assembly. Got some random box full of hardware. Oh, that's the AC compressor bracket. Great, so that's probably off. This part scares me. The cylinders for the top. Let's take a peek inside and see if we can see if those cylinders are installed or not. Yeah, they're not installed. That's where they would go. That's where one end would go. I don't know where the other end goes, honestly. Must be somewhere. I can't go too well. I must go down there somewhere. Dang it. Wonder why he took those out. Probably so he can get the top down. Yeah, same story on the other side. So the top's not gonna work without well, some work thrown at it. We still have the lines. Oh, nope, they're not hooked up. And the top motor is full of shmoo. For some reason, they got the bright idea of using brake fluid in these top motors. I don't. Every time that I refill them, I use ATF. And it seems like that brake fluid just gets so corroded over the years that you've got like no chance at these tops working. Okay, so the pump's probably seized. How about our interior? Aside from being black, which I really don't like in a convertible, it's not bad. Door card's just a little chewy down there, but the seat's not tore up. The front seat upholstery matches the back seat, so it doesn't look likely that it got recovered, but you know, I could be wrong. It shows 74,000 miles, and that's probably original. I'd be shocked if that was 174. A couple cracks up on the dash. It's an air car, which is cool. Really the only options this thing has is air conditioning and the convertible top. Other than that, it's pretty bare bones. Manual windows, manual locks, not full instrumentation, no tilt wheel, but steering wheel's in pretty good shape. I love these things, they're so pretty. The carpet's not bad either, it looks like. Oh, what are you? Bass Power, Power Plus, Power Stereo. Yeah, we got some aftermarket stereo goodies going on. AM, FM, 8-track, aftermarket. I have no idea of the brand because it does not say. I forgot we had 8-tracks in here. What do we got? The best of Roy Rogers. Oh my gosh. Bet that's awful. And Frank Zappa. Huh, okay. Funny taste. Whatever. No rearview mirror. Visors are nice. Yeah, top looks all right on the inside. Looks like it was... No, that's not dust. I don't know, maybe it is. I can't tell if the top was down for a long time or not, but all in all, not bad. Pretty disappointed that the cylinders are taken out, but you know, what do you do? All right, let's look under the hood. Here we have a very original and very stock 389. I can't remember if this is a 2 or a 4 barrel. 2 barrel, great. Well, there's the AC compressor, so it looks like probably everything's here. Is this completely unbolted? No, just partially unbolted. Okay. Yeah, all original, power steering, power brakes, 2 barrel AC. Not much for options really, but it's complete. So, I suppose we're gonna go ahead and jump in, taking this thing apart. First things first, let's get the hood insulation tore down because it's all full of mouse poops, and get the hood yanked off of it. Boy, won't this make life easier. There's really not a lot that goes on in these engine bays. So basically, to get everything out, we just need to take out the radiator, take the fan off, take out the carb linkage. Oh, the exhaust. That's not gonna be fun. I hope we can get that loose. Power steering lines, and then motor mounts, transmission mount, and all the transmission linkage. It's really not all that daunting, and it's not gonna do itself, so better get at it. Alright, it got some elevation under the guy now. Believe I got everything taken off up top that I can. Got our distributor disconnected, all of our wiring's disconnected. We just put our AC compressor and our power steering pump off to the side. What else did we do? Throttle linkage, fuel lines, radiators out of the way. Yeah, so now it's time for the hard part. All right, let's get under there and see what we can see. First glance, it looks really good. Now this is a Wisconsin car, and it still has floors in it. They got a little chewy in spots, but really not bad. The thing must not have sat outside. Oh, we got a little bit going on up here. Yeah, a little bit around the gas pedal. It's getting a little thin. Not bad all in all. There's our big old turbo 400 pan. Looks like we don't have a dust shield anymore. Oh, what is that? There's something shiny sticking out of the side of the pan, and it's round. Would that be a wrist pin? It's kind of shaped like a wrist pin. Oh, there's carnage. There was bad things that happened. all at once. Ooh, that is a fuzzy starter. I'm sure that that is indicative as to how everything is going to fight us on this. Boy, it's both sides. Yeah, there's a oil ring poking out of that pan. Huh, cool. Well, we can call this a catastrophic failure. Hey, at least there's no oil to drain. Oh my god, there's holes everywhere. Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, it's coming out anyways. Do we see anything else, good, bad, or otherwise? Not really. Single exhaust. Back pans look good. Doesn't look like the gas tank had been leaking for eons. Drive shaft and differential feel all right. Yeah, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna live. That must be the side that's missing the drum. Yeah, I forgot I did this to the exhaust. I kind of folded it up a little bit. when we were backing it off the big gooseneck trailer, we had this and the Grand Prix on there. So the gooseneck trailer's kind of high up, and we had a hell of an approach backing it off. As you can see, that tailpipe may or may not be full of road tar. So we gotta lop this exhaust off somewhere. Oh man, it's, golly, they really sandwiched that sucker when they bent it. About right here, so is where we'll cut it off. Then it'll just point down on the ground and that'll be perfect. Yeah, poor thing. All right, let's see what we get into. We friggin' did it. There it is. Oh, it's greasy glory. That wasn't awful. Oh, we got some cleaning to do. Man, this thing is grody. It doesn't look like this engine's ever been out of here. I would be shocked if it has been. It doesn't look like there's black overspray on anything. Everything looks pretty original. But nothing fought me too bad. So we got him out. We got to get something in here moved so that we can get this sucker power washed. The engine bay looks pretty good. It's just kind of dingy. We've got a lot of dirt built up. So we'll just give it a degrease and a power wash and we're gonna call it good. So here's the donor mill for that 66 Catalina. We have an ugly but beautiful 65 Grand Prix that allegedly has a rebuilt 389 4-barrel. I can't remember if he said the transmission was rebuilt or not, but it seems to work fine. I've kind of driven this thing around at a high rate of speed through some cornfields, and it did quite well. It goes into all the gears nicely, has good power, seems to run good. It doesn't have brakes, which I wasn't going to go through that kind of effort on this poor thing. The body, it's not the worst one I've seen, but it's got a lot of this kind of stuff going on. You can see it's all the way down the side. Yeah, literally almost all the way down the side. And then the top of the car has this really goofy, heavy pitting. And it's even through in some spots, but yeah, it's just got holes in weird places. It was a West Virginia car that moved to Colorado and then moved to Nebraska at some point. And it was allegedly covered with a tarp when it was in West Virginia, and that was the downfall of it basically. If it wouldn't have been covered, it probably would have been saved, but it's just got a lot of body rot. It's pretty ugly, but it was well optioned. It's an 8-lug car, automatic console. There's the big old vacuum gauge in the center, and it even works. I hooked it up. Sucker's got power. Air car even. Yeah, lights work, gauges work, but it unfortunately also sat a long time without a back window in it, and that wasn't very good on the interior, so for storage sake I found another back window and taped it in there. But Me and Viviano got it running really good last night. Let's see if it'll talk today. 7 accelerator pump still? Yeah? We'll try 2 pumps. I don't know, the choke isn't closed, so I don't know if that works or not. Come on, little buddy. We're charging. Lights work. Hey, there's our light. I don't know what's squeaking. It might be the alternator. It's not even really shaking. We got 17 inches of vacuum. Yeah, we don't have any choke action though. Cool. I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit, then we'll check the vacuum again. Our fan has a little bit of a wobble to it. It's got a gallop. That's not good. So either the clutch is bad or one of the fins is messed up. But at any rate, we won't be using that fan, that's for sure. Well, you can hear this thing when the alternator starts charging. So look at that. 18.5 inches of vacuum. Yeah, pretty close to 19. The needle's staying nice and steady. Killer. Yeah, it's just hanging in at about 19. That's awesome. Yeah, you can tell when it kicks in, it starts to growl and it bogs the engine down a little. Yeah, we might want to source a new one. Not to say a new one's going to be any better, but I'd like one that doesn't get hot at least. Oh, it's ran for a while. I don't see any smoke coming out the exhaust. Don't see any smoke or vapor coming out of the breather either. That's awesome. Thing must be pretty healthy. We got an accelerator pump. Yeah, our vacuum just hangs right in there. That vacuum is unwavering. That's awesome. Get my head away from that fan. It's snappy. Man, just running like a top. I love it. Now you can see even the heads still have paint on them. I'd believe this guy. He's the same fellow that we bought that yellow 66 wagon from that allegedly has a rebuilt engine in it, and it ran quite well too. I tend to forget about that thing, but I would rather take that wagon apart, but this has a more correct engine for that 66. So we're gonna go ahead and use this one. All right, well, let's get him taken apart, I guess. Well, maybe I'm not crazy or stupid. I have done the same thing that other people have been doing. So you've got this thick spacer gasket here with another gasket below it and another gasket on top of it. If you'll remember from, oh gosh, that would have been the 59 and 60 video. That's what I ended up doing on the 59 with the Edelbrock carburetor to get the carb up high enough so that both the butterflies could open. Cool. Well, I'm happy to see that that wasn't all in vain. It appears that I'm gonna get to do a head gasket on this. I'm pulling the thing out, and I was wondering, where is all this antifreeze coming from? I have the radiator out and everything, so it shouldn't be leaking, but oh, wipe down the side of the block and it is weeping out of the head gasket. So I'm glad that I noticed that now instead of when I have the engine in the vehicle, hopefully next week. Dang it, I didn't want to do that, but oh well. Looks like I got to do an oil pan gasket too. I may as well take the front cover off then and gosh, re-gasket that. While I have the front cover off, may as well put a timing chain in it, right? Golly, this is a can of worms, man. Oh well, it's gotta happen. Alrighty, I got the engine and transmission divorced. You can see him laying on the ground. Kind of figured out that I think this popped head gasket was due to the fact that I had to pull those two bolts out here and here for the lower AC compressor mount. So once pressure was taken off of those, that's probably what ended up popping that head gasket. I don't know if it would work if I put the bolts back in, but I'm gonna take the heads off anyways. So I'm gonna get to experience that. That shouldn't be a big deal. These Pontiacs aren't all that bad. Just gotta take the intake off, and they got a valley pan under the intake, which you will see, which might just leave alone depending on how the gasket looks. But I got some other gaskets coming for this, and a timing chain set. We got some broken bolts in an exhaust manifold. Oddly enough, both of them broke. So we got to get those out. I might, oh gosh, what did I break on this one? Did I break one or two of them on the old engine? I broke, I only broke one, and it's I just popped the head off. There's still about that much bolt sticking out of it, but for fun and practice, we're gonna try to get these two out. We're gonna do this the hard way. So I'm going to start by putting a grinding wheel on my grinder and grinding these guys completely flat. Be right back. So I was able to get one mostly flat, mostly flush. The other one I was only able to get about half of it because a little bit of it's broke down below the surface, but that's close enough. So now we're gonna find a small punch, that guy, and we're gonna put a dimple square smack dab in the middle of both of these. All right, you only get one shot to make a dimple, so make sure it counts. I didn't get it quite where I wanted it on that one, but it's all right. So now we're gonna drill these out as best as we can with a good drill bit. For the love of God, if you do anything with your lives, buy some decent drill bits. And if you can't buy decent drill bits, buy these from Harbor Freight. Warrior Cobalts. If you take care of them, they last a long time, but they will break. But golly, these are sharper than all get out. So I'll never claim to know what the hell I'm doing. Take all this with a grain of salt. But we've got a 3/8 bolt that we want to drill out. Where's 3/8? So that's 3/8. We're gonna do this in a couple steps though. Let's pick a really obscure size. 11/54. Let's start small. We're gonna start small with 11/54. Drill ourselves a pilot hole, work out from there. Drill it straight and drill it slow. This is not a race. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit faster. I need both hands. I'm gonna put the camera down, I'm gonna get some spray lube, and we're gonna let this thing eat. I ain't kidding you. Look at the strands that come off of these things. These aren't bad for the money. Alrighty, we are through. I'm ended up way off center, probably because I'm tilted, but we'll do the same thing over here. Through on both sides all the way. Maybe we'll try easy outing this just for fun. I don't have great luck with it, but we'll give it a shot. The reason I don't believe the easy out's gonna work that well is because it's stuck on the threads. It's not the top of it that's stuck, it's the threads that are stuck. And the easy outs don't tend to have enough torque, but we'll give it a whirl. I got about as much faith in this as I do truck stop toilet paper. Yeah, I don't like the potential outcome here. That's a skinny, easy out. Try to use some impacting motion. But if we break that easy out off, we're just screwed. Yeah, let's abandon ship there and go straight for the MIG welder. Again, if you came here looking for professional advice, you came to the wrong place, partner. But here's what we're gonna do. We got a 3/8 nut here because it's what I have the most of and it's still relatively clean. And we're gonna hold it right there, and then we're gonna fill the inside of that bolt with wire and then pull it up inside this nut here. And then hopefully the heat from the wire welding to it breaks this piece of bolt free, and then we can thread it out with the nut. It might take a couple attempts, but let's give it a shot. Boy, I sure hope the auto darkening works. That's about perfect. Look at that, eh? That's hotter than hell, and I didn't even barely weld my wrench to it. I don't know how long you're supposed to let it cool. That wrench is still kind of loose, that's good. Oh no. Man, I thought we had it for sure. Wonder if we need to go bigger. I don't know if I don't think I penetrated down into there as my troubles. Felt like my pants were on fire. All right, we're gonna try this again, but we're gonna try to get the wire in deeper. Well, it took a couple attempts, but I got it. Oh, that one's hot too. There he be. Plumb out. No tapping required. Let's see, we got that one. I think there's another one in here somewhere. I think it took, oh yeah, there's another one. It took about either 3 or 4 tries, but we got it all out. We got one save. We didn't even bugger up the threads. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So I drilled it out again to 13/64ths to take a little more meat out, and that might have been the ticket. So I'm gonna do the same on that one. I don't know, it's pretty close to the edge though. I'll try not to mess it up, because I really don't want to have to tap these things, but if it happens, it happens. I got a partial of that one. There he is. Got about half out. Let's do it again. It's a little cockeyed, but it's there. It's out. So, now we got him out. Take our skunk piss and our 3/8 tap. That one's pretty good. Just clean them up a little bit. I'm pretty pleased. I'm glad that this actually worked out. I mean, I knew it would, but glad it did. That saved me a lot of headache trying to find another manifold or trying to pay somebody smarter than me to do it. But yeah, just tap on both sides till the tap spins nice and free. Use a lot of lube. Here we are, got the old 389 and the big old turbo 400 cleaned up. Good enough for who it's for. So let's tear into this thing. We're probably just gonna re-gasket it all, because we've got to go so far as that head, which means we got to take the intake off, and we should probably honestly replace all the gaskets everywhere else too. And this is going to give us a good chance to see what's going on inside of this engine. Hopefully we've only found good things, so I'll probably feel a lot better about taking it apart. So let's get down to it. Man, the blue silicone strikes again. Golly. Why do they do this? You don't need this much. They just, gosh, they smeared it on like tub and tile. It's thick. Well, at least this kind seems to come off easy. So, guess we'll keep tearing it apart and we'll see how much we find in the oil screen. Hopefully not very much, but I don't know. I wonder. I freaking wonder. Well, son of a gun. All in all, under the head looks really good. I really do believe that this thing was rebuilt at one point. Well, we've got 2 different colors of paint on the thing, so that's usually a pretty good indicator. But, you know, you can always fake that. But they look pretty decent though. I'm honestly happy. Sweet. Let's keep tearing down. Alright, we got the valley cover off. Everything under there looks excellent. I can't see any lifters that look goofy or cam lobes that look ruined. I got some water down in there when I took that valley cover off, so we're gonna go ahead, some WD-40, and oil anything that we think we got water on, so that we don't get any flash rust on our cam or lifters or anything like that. Sweet. Okay. Now for the the fun. Is this the fun part or difficult part? Taking the heads off. This is really where we are going to figure out what the status of this engine is. But first, we need to take out the push rods and the lifters and put those in their correct order. Alrighty, got all the push rods and lifters out. I just knocked some holes in the box for the push rods. We've got our front and our rear end of the engine mark, passenger driver side, and I cut some 7/8 holes in a 2x4 for the lifters, and the lifters all look spectacular. The bottom of them are nice and flat. There's no ridges. All of them slid out nicely, so we shouldn't have any valve training issues with this thing. Everything looks really good, and so do the cam lobes, so I can't complain. Now for the the messy part of taking the cylinder heads off. I'm not particularly looking forward to this, but hey, it's something that's got to be done because we got a leak right here. It's not coming out of the bolt holes, it's coming out between the head and the block. So we got to remedy that. So let's zip these things off. Well, this all looks really nice, and as you can see, I didn't even make a mess on the floor. If you want to prevent a giant spill, drain the block. That plug there and that one there drains all of the coolant out of the block, so that you won't have a big slick once you rip the heads off. I was able to clean up the top one of the pistons, and we see a 30 over mark, so that's what I expected. This thing's been gone through. Everything looks really similar. It doesn't look like any of the cylinders were burning any differently than the other ones, so that's just great. All right, so now we need to get this off, which can sometimes prove difficult because we've got iron bolts going into an aluminum housing, and that can lead to troubles. We got it out here. We'll see if we can do it here and wherever the heck else it's held on, but that can cause corrosion, which can cause these bolts to break off. But let's not talk about that. Let's forget about that, and let's just act like everything's gonna go peacefully. Oh, I got the front cover off without any troubles. All of the studs came out nicely. We got some nuts that are stuck on the studs, but that's no big deal. At least nothing broke off, nothing got stuck inside the cover. I don't know how much slack is allowable in one of these timing chains, but at any rate, I'm staring right at it. They're not very much money. I'm gonna throw a new one on there. I see that we've got a YC engine code, and according to Wallace Racing's website, that comes back as a 290 horse 389, which I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked that it's not super high horsepower, but hey, it's gonna be good enough for a giant old convertible. So let's flip this guy over and get the oil pan ripped off and see how much of this blue silicone is in it. So you're probably an expert, and I've done this more times than I have, but I'm gonna use this razor blade here. That seems to give me the best chance at getting all of the material off of the head instead of just tearing the crap out of the gasket. So I'm gonna work on that, and then I'll get the old carbide edged scraper in there and give it the finishing touches. All right, I got the deck surface all pretty and clean. I just gotta wipe it down. But I used carbide scraper to get the bulk of it, big chunks, got it down to bare metal, and then lightly took one of these orange brushes on the drill, medium speed, and just lightly touched it and cleaned it up. You don't want to go nuts. You don't want to create low spots by taking off any material you see. We can still see the witness marks from the old head gasket, so we know we didn't take off too much, but you just want a good clean surface or else you're going to be doing this again. All right, so now we've got to do exhaust ports and intake ports. Yeehaw. Alrighty, got our cylinder head all cleaned up and got our deck surface cleaned up too. Did it the same way we did the cylinder head. Got all the holes blown out. They're all blind holes, so that's nice. That means they don't go into a water jacket. So now I'm going to take some oil on my tap, and I'm just going to chase every one of the head bolt holes. Just quickly, they just need touched up. They're going to get cleaned out. That's all they need. So I'm just going to oil them and then run the tap down to the bottom of the holes and back out. Alrighty, ran a tap in and out of each of the bolt holes, so I'm just letting the oil drain out of them now. Next step, we're gonna get our old head bolts cleaned up. So we're just gonna use the wire wheel on the bench grinder for that. Should work great, shouldn't take long. Then after we got those cleaned, we can slam a head on there. About time. Alrighty, got all the head bolts cleaned up. There's two things that you want to pay a lot of attention to in cleaning these bolts. You want to get the threads as clean as you can, because that's going to be one of the determining factors in your torque values, as well as the bottom of the bolt head, because that's going to be rubbing up against the surface of the head, and that's going to have an impact on your torque value. So when you torque these, we're going to look up the specs here soon, but you're going to want oil on the bottom of the head so the head can spin freely and on the threads. All right, everybody, remember, cleanliness is next to godliness. So we got the deck wiped down, and just because I'm paranoid, I put a couple squirts of oil in each cylinder just to help it move around a little bit since we dried it out. So we're ready to set the head on. We're ready to drop some bolts in, and then we're going to look up what we torque these things to. I'm guessing it's around 60, 65, but I got to find the sequence, and we're probably going to do like 20, 40, 60 torque increments. So let's go ahead and do this thing. Golly, these things are heavy. So there's an alignment dowel right here and right here. So once you got the head set on those alignment dowels, you know that you're in the right spot. And as you can see by all our different elevations, we've got several different lengths of head bolts. So I think I kept them in order. So we're gonna go ahead and lube the threads and drop them in there. Sweet. we got our head torque sequence right here. Cylinder head bolts, 80 to 95 foot-pounds. So let's go up to 90 and we'll go 30, 60, 90 on torque. How does that grab you? Sound good? Sounds good to me. All right, so wrench values begin at 50. So we're just gonna start at 50 first go around. And do this one-handed. Kind of. This is oddly satisfying doing this kind of stuff. And we're 3. Ooh, I'm gonna need my deep well for that one. The reason I'm using the non-impact socket right now is because I can't get to these bolts down here in the corner with my impact socket. And no, I don't feel bad about it. I will unapologetically use chrome sockets. Now where? Yeah, right here is the booger to get to. Okay, little buddy, there we go. Seven, 8, 9, 10. And the motion feels nice and fluid because we've got the bolts well oiled. It's really smooth. All right, what's between 50 and 90? 70. All right, so I'm gonna do 70 on the next step and then 95. Well, it's starting to look more like a motor now. Got the passenger head on and got our new timing gear set put in. That was kind of tricky. I hope it's correct because there's not a dot. There's not a timing mark on this cam gear. So I basically just tried to hold the crank and the cam still while I took off the old gear set and put the new set on. So I'm really anxious to get all my rocker arms torqued down because then I will see if I have compression or not. So got all of our lifters and push rods put in back in the same order. Used engine assembly lube on the lifters very, very liberally because we don't want the cam to go flat. So now we're going to torque all of our rocker nuts to 20 foot-pounds, which is super, super easy valve adjustment because these Pontiacs don't have a specific order that you need to adjust rockers on so long as everything is stock and original on them still. So this is all we need to do. We just got to take these guys down to 20. Seems like it takes forever. All right, let's do that for everyone. Well, I made a giant mess out of this whole place, but I'm really, really pleased with the end result. So we got our regasketed 389 with the new timing set in it. Hopefully that got put back in correctly. It seems like it has compression, so I'm hopeful. We might have to go back through and readjust the valves. I wonder if they are, just a couple of them are a little tight because the lifters probably weren't pumped up when we adjusted them. So I glued the gaskets with high tack to the valve cover, but then on the bottom side of the gasket where it meets the head, I put brake grease on it so that I can take them off easy and the gasket doesn't stick. Hopefully I don't need to, but we'll see what we get into. So now I need to put seals in that transmission. I'm going to do an input shaft and output shaft seal, and I need to clean up the exhaust manifolds. I think I still have manifold paint, so I'm going to get those cleaned up so we can spray some paint on them, and then while they're drying we'll do the gaskets and that thing. Gaskets, seals, not gaskets, seals. As you can see, we're finally about to do something. We've got our engine and transmission mated together, and all we've got on the engine right now is the exhaust manifolds and the motor mounts basically. So that won't allow too many things to get in our way. Biggest thing I always worry about is trying not to rip those two relays and the wiring off the firewall while I'm dropping it in, because we got to go at a pretty extreme angle to get that long shaft turbo 400 drop down in there. So let's attempt it. Let's see what we can mess up today. We'll start by getting our engine and transmission tilted. Oh, get off that box. There we go. This is kind of a pain. These levelers are convenient, but the dang handles in them get away so bad. Let's drop it down a little bit. We'll have more room to crank on our handle. Alright. Did I accomplish the opposite of what I wanted to? I think I did. Alright, what did we gain there? Nothing? Looks like nothing. We can go in a little. There we are, running into stuff already though. Okay, let's go a little bit more. Get our wiring on top of our transmission so we don't rip all that off. We're already making a bloodbath. That's good. Draining everything out of our torque converter. Oh, there wasn't much in there. Oh, we're all right. It's all good. Man, I just don't have anything for room here. Bring it down a little more. It ain't gonna be pretty, but we're gonna get it. Come on, you're almost there. There we go. Now we can go down a lot. Alright. We've shaft is starting to go into the tunnel now. That's good. You just gotta inch it. I'm not sure what's made a bigger mess, the transmission or the ram on this engine hoist here. Oh yeah. We're doing it. Hold it there. We can kind of level this thing out now almost. Almost. We almost have enough room. Alright, go back farther. What we caught on? Nothing? So far, so good. There we go. Bring it down a little further, then we can start leveling out our engine. Not running into anything yet. There we go. That's looking better. Got another 6 inches or so. I want to make sure we get it set down on the mounts. We're getting there. How about that, huh? It's about perfect. Now we just have to go down. Nice. That's looking better. Gotta level them out some more. That looks about perfect. Set them down a little further. We just barely want our rubber motor mounts floating on top of our frame. Sure our exhaust is getting lined up. Cool. What about there? How about that, huh? Isn't that just pretty as a picture? It's too clean, it almost looks out of place. I almost feel bad about not painting the engine bay, but almost. almost. Looks like my cylinder on my engine hoist finally gave up the ghost. So we'll replace that with a nice Harbor Freight one that'll probably last for 2 engine swaps. But I've got the engine bolted down, and I've got the transmission cross member in with the new transmission mount. So I'm gonna work underneath the car some more, get the starter and the exhaust and everything hooked up, and then we'll come up top and we are gonna make this thing run before we put all of the accessories on it, because it'll make me feel better. All right, see you in a bit. As luck would have it, my work light died, but I got everything tidied up down here. Everything's put together again. We got the starter in, got a new power wire going to it because the other one had a new end clamped on. Got our oil changed. We got a crankcase full of 1030 with some zinc in it. We got our filter changed and our turbo 400. Got our e-brake cable hooked back up. Got a drive shaft in. Exhaust is hooked up front. Had to put a new U-joint in the back because when I took it apart, the caps fell out and the needle bearings went everywhere. So just threw a U-joint in there while I was at it. Got the exhaust mechanic wired up because I don't have a hanger on hand and I wanted to get it out of my face, and topped off the differential. So now that everything's tidied up down here, I'm gonna get my can of Freol and spray down all of the brake fittings that I can find because they all look pretty scuzzy. And then we'll set this thing on the ground and we'll start working on the engine. Almost forgot to check out the health of our fuel tank. So the backside of the cap looks good. Sniff test. That doesn't smell bad. It smells like it has real gas in it. Well, let's take a peek here, see what we can learn. That all looks good and well. That just looks like galvanizing. I can't tell if I'm dunking this thing in the gas or not, but I don't see a bunch of stalactites and stalagmites. This quality is pretty poor. I'll clean this off. That's not much better, but it looks fine in there. It's hard telling, but everything looks clean. I think that we can run this thing. I can see reflection of light on the side of the tank, so that's a great sign. Yeah, let's go with it. I'm coming along. I spent more time than I'd like to admit trying to make an actual hard fuel line, all to just kink it at the very end right after I got that last flare made. So we kind of threw in the towel and cut it up. We'll deal with that later. I wasn't able to hook up my return because I need a fuel filter with the return, and O'Reilly's can't get them. AC ones are available aftermarket, but they're like 64 bucks. So we'll see if I care enough to deal with that. Probably not. Got my distributor put back together, my wires on, got everything on the carb hooked up. I recently learned out of necessity last weekend that this middle screw adjusts the idle on these carters, and it seems like what it does is introduce more air to the system, and there's a possibility that if you adjust the center idle speed screw, then you may have to adjust your idle mixtures, but I don't know. I literally just learned that yesterday. So that was pretty cool. All the other ones I had dealt with had an idle mixture screw right here, but I was working on my dad's 67 Grand Prix and he had the carb rebuilt, but there's no mixture screw. I mean idle speed screw over here like there sometimes is. It's all in that big center screw. So that was really cool to hear. Got my brake booster hooked up, all the vacuum lines plumbed. So So now I need to start doing my least favorite thing, and that is working on the front of the engine. So we'll get all of our accessories hung on there. It's not a lot of fun to watch, so I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, got the Catalina engine mostly tidied up. Got everything vital it needs to run tied up anyways. We don't know if it charges. I didn't hook up the air conditioning because I've got the wrong lower pulley on there. I need a pulley with another groove on it. But, you know, coolant's topped off, oil's topped off. Checked out the power steering, and transmission's filled up. Put 8 quarts in there, which hopefully is enough to not burn up the pump. Might have some wiring things tied up. I found a few broken wires in the headlight area behind the battery. So let's fire this thing up and try to tune it, huh? We've got our timing light hooked up. Mainly have this because it's got a tack on there. We can watch our RPMs. I did not touch that distributor at all, and also did not touch the carburetor a bit because it seemed like it was running good when it was pulled. So I've got the carb filled up. We can check spark if that gives us any trouble. Got our vacuum gauge hooked up to full port vacuum at the back of the carb. So let's give it a whirl, eh? I don't even have the remote switch hooked up. We're just gonna try it here. All right, so it's got some fuel down the carb already. More. There we go. No smoke out the back. Our choke is kind of working. RPMs are kind of high. Not too much lifter noise, which is good. How's our water level? Went down a lot. I'm gonna get some more water, because it's probably gonna go through a bunch. I don't see any leaks under there yet. All right, I'm gonna get more antifreeze. I think we've got throttle return springs working against each other. Oh, I gotta go the other way. My linkage needs adjusted is my issue. There we go, we'll just take that off for now. It's burping. It'll get rid of whatever it doesn't want. We're gonna watch it here though. 115, 75, thermostat hasn't opened yet. Vacuum looks good though, look at that, eh? Ooh, yeah. Still a little high. I think we're off of our high idle ramp, almost. Yeah, we're off of our ramp. That's better. Cut spark, of course. Around 1,000. We can stand to bring that down. 150, 133. Yeah, I think the thermostat's starting to open up. I think it's got like 5 gallons of gas in it, so I hope that's enough. We made a mess with that antifreeze, but it doesn't look like we're losing anything else. It's got about 4 gallons of antifreeze in it. It's a little shaky still, but plenty responsive. Cool, let it run a little bit longer. I want you to pay attention to this. Watch the gauge. I think we got an air leak there. I'm back here after lunch, and as I suspected, the antifreeze level was probably about halfway down the radiator or so. So we were kind of correct in our thinking in that that may have been the reason why it was getting a little warm. We topped it back off, it cooled off. Let's try starting it. Oh man, I hope that that's just from what we spilled already. Hope that's not new. Okay, baby. Acts like it's a bit advanced. I'll let it get some heat back in it again, then we'll work on adjusting that carburetor, see what we can get out of it. I think my suspicions of it being too far advanced may be correct. We had the hard starting, and then I disconnected the vacuum advance, and our vacuum evened way out, and we're running a lot better, so I think we need to kick our advance down quite a bit. So we've got the vacuum advance unhooked and plugged, because on these old engines it's full port vacuum coming out of this stud on the back of the carburetor. This stud has a hole that goes through it and goes into the intake, so that's plugged. We have no vacuum advance right now, but judging by our timing light, this thing just has like 1,000,000 degrees of vacuum in it, or not vacuum, 1,000,000 degrees of advance in it. So we'll get that distributor loosened up. We're going to get it backed off a little bit once it warms up. We're also going to take our idle down just a little bit so that we can kind of set our advance at about 800 RPMs or so that our flyweights on our distributor aren't flying open yet. We'll get some more heat to it, then we'll do that. What are we at now, huh? 167, 160, 100, yeah. Our thermostat's open. All right, I'll get the wrench, we'll loosen that up, and we'll go from there. So I believe by screwing in this center screw here should bring our idle down. And it did. Let's watch it. Down far enough so that it doesn't bang when it goes into gear. You guys happy with 800? I am. We don't seem to have a stumble. We did a little bit there. Did we finally get off of our high idle cam? Yeah, we're off of our high idle cam. We'll bring it back up a little. Screwing it in lowers the idle, screwing it out raises it. That seems pretty good. Plenty responsive. brought it way down again. Bring it out a little more. I want to be around 700. There we go. Gosh, that thing is snappy. Oh yeah, chilling out right at about 700. Man, do we even need to try to monkey with our vacuum? Suppose we can a little. But gosh, it revs so good right now. We'll watch that. How's our temperature? 160. 170 on the other side. Now we're pretty close. I don't want to mess with it, but the engine's got just barely a little shake to it. You can feel it. I'd like to get rid of that. So going in, cleans out the mixture, going out, richens it. Quarter turn, half turn, 3/4 turn, 1 turn. They didn't like that. We'll go back out a quarter, then another half. And I like to go a quarter turn past my highest vacuum reading just to compensate for the lack of airflow when it comes to having an air filter and a hood and everything on here. We'll see if we gain anything more by richening it another quarter. Didn't gain a bit. Took it back in a quarter, so we're chilling out pretty steady at 19 inches. To the other side. We'll go in, lean the mixture out. It picked up slightly. There it goes. There it bogged. We went in too far. Went back out a little. Right about 19. We'll go out another quarter. Wrenching it just a quarter past our, we wrenched it just a quarter turn past our optimum engine vacuum. I think we can go a little more actually. We'll go another quarter. It likes that a lot more. Yeah, still at about 800 RPMs. And it's really responsive when we stab it, so that's great. So we want to retard the timing a little bit. Pontiac distributors spin counterclockwise, so to retard the timing, we go clockwise with the distributor a little bit. So I moved it a tick, and we want to be at about 16 degrees initial. It's hard to see, but it's going to be the left-hand mark of the 2 tabs on the balancer, so we need to go just a little bit more. That's 16. All right. Take it back down. I know we're gonna have to completely undo all of the tuning we just did on the carb. So let's plug the vacuum advance back in. That is it, right? Yep, that's it. What did that take our RPMs to? Really low, 400. So let's bring it back up. Oh no. Did something come off? Probably just didn't like running at 400 RPMs very badly. Hope it restarts. Come on, my throttle's not hooked up. Golly. Raise our idle a bit more. This would be a handy time to have a throttle. Okay, give you a bit more idle, huh? Now you're gonna light. I know it. Golly. I think our fan is on over there. You dirty so-and-so. Okay, fine. Fine. We'll hook you back up. Because I obviously need it. Just for now, momentarily. Oh, this is hard to do with one hand. Okay, that'll also artificially hold our throttle open. Don't do this to me. I don't know if we're charging, honestly. It doesn't like that. Yeah, so either we plumb are out of fuel or our accelerator pump decided not to work anymore. Let's find out. Well, we're way advanced now because I tried to compensate for it not starting. Put a splash in there and see what happens now. It's probably gonna kick back. Yeah, we don't have any fuel. Huh, what a concept. I just put 5 gallons in this thing. Is our gauge accurate? Well, it doesn't move, so, great, okay. Let's top it off again. Okay, we'll make a halfway attempt to fill our bowls up. See how much we can dribble down the carb and flood this sucker. The answer's quite a bit. See if we can get to start on that. Might have to bottle feed it for a little bit. Should fire though. Oh yeah, we're way advanced now. It's not advanced, we just had our throttle hooked up still. Yeah, now it's squirting. We may not have enough vacuum or idle. You dirty so-and-so. This thing wants all of the throttle. Okay, you pop you on there. What a struggle. Hopefully it stays running. Disconnect our vacuum advance. Boy, it's running smooth. It's too high, but it's really, really smooth. Okay, let me get the idle situation figured out and then we'll reconvene. So just ran out of fuel again. We're barely getting anything out of the squirters. Well, nothing now. So let's crack that fuel line, crank it, and see if we can see just what our trouble is. Hopefully this doesn't spray fuel everywhere when we take it off. Oh, nothing. Okay, we're gonna crank it and see what happens. Oh, if I can reach the key, I can't. Okay, you guys watch. We got troubles, huh? We're not getting any fuel. Okay. Well, I'm gonna check our filter down there and see if maybe that plugged itself up. I doubt it, but I don't know. All right, so I took the filter off. The filter's down between the frame rail and the fuel pump, and there's no fuel coming out of it. So I'm gonna hook the fuel line back up on the engine, and we are going to try to pull fuel with the pump out of a can versus out of the tank. So that should tell us where our delivery issue is from, whether the pickup in the tank isn't getting it or the pump isn't getting it. All right, the carb is topped off with fuel and that can is overfilling with it. So we'll let it run. We're gonna let it run until it drains the carb and hopefully that little tank down there. Come on, buddy. It's a little flooded. So it should suck that empty if the tank's working, that is, or if the pump is working, that is. While we're at it, what is our timing situation? Want to be 16 degrees, 16. We're right there. We're gonna lock it down. That's 16 degrees without vacuum advance hooked up. That's called initial timing. Take our cap off. Plug in our advance. Cool, now that's gospel. Man, look at that. Look at all that vacuum. Isn't that just stellar? So what's our Ripham's at? 822. So we're gonna go in a little. Lower that. 800, we can go a little bit lower. So, it died. And this is about that full now. So our pump's working, but we're not pulling fuel. Okay, easy stuff first. Let's try that. All right, so we know our fuel pump is working. We're gonna take our air hose and blow back. We're gonna blow back into the tank. Maybe we have an obstruction. I can hear it. It's making it back there. Yeah, it's unobstructed. Ooh, I wonder what that noise was. Okay. Let's try putting it back together. Seeing if we can pull fuel now. Interesting. Alrighty, the carburetor is filled back up again. You know what, let's get rid of this little doodad here before we end up leaving it on the car. I've been known to do that with spark testers and starter switches. I tried to not flood it this time, but you know. But it's flooded. Oh, come on, little buddy. Clear up. You got this. There you go. Now it's clearing up. So it's either gonna pull fuel or it's gonna drain the carburetor again. But golly, look at that vacuum. What's that, 19 inches, holding steady. You could just about balance a nickel on the head of this thing. Let's watch it. This feels pressurized, so I'm feeling better about it. We'll watch it for a bit, see what happens. How about this crap? It's running. We got the top down and we're playing Roy Rogers on the 8-track. Oh my gosh, I've never been happier. We're chilling. Maybe we fixed the darn thing. Sure hope so. Really don't want to put a sending unit in the fuel tank because I can't get one. And I don't want to rebuild it either. I'm gonna let it run for a little while longer and I'll see what happens. So I just tried something. We'll turn down the Roy Rogers. This thing's got brakes. Drive. Yeah, it's got brakes. What the heck? I'm not used to this. We got power steering even. Well, I gotta redo the brakes anyways because one of the drums is in the trunk and he said that he took one of them apart, so it must have been a rear that was stuck, so he took it apart and threw all the pieces in the trunk. It's gonna make me feel better anyways. The pedal's kind of stiff and goofy feeling, but hey, our booster must work, so that's nice. Okay. It's been a few minutes and it's still running, so I'm gonna assume that we fixed it. What else do we have to do? We're gonna mount the air compressor, AC compressor, not hook it up, but we can't have it dangling by zip ties anymore, and hook up the throttle linkage and slam a hood on this thing, I guess. Oh, I gotta put a voltage regulator on here too because it kind of let some smoke out when I first hooked up the battery, so I'm gonna assume that's cooked. Oh, we got electrical tape going on here too for our radio suppressor. Okay, fine, I guess we'll hook that up too. Here's the real question. Will it start? Oh yeah, nice hot start. So that means that our timing must be somewhere decent. Okay, good, I think we're done tuning the thing. So now that the white 2+2 moves, and this one allegedly moves and stops, I'm gonna clean this place up a little bit. As you can see, I've kind of been working on it. I've been picking away at it. But I wanna clean underneath of this, mainly because it's been sitting here for a year. There's antifreeze all the way underneath it. And then check out all the mouse house that this thing blew out. All the rust and probably my seat cushions that came out of the tailpipe. We're gonna see if this thing will start and move itself outside. It kind of acts like it has like 3 out of the 4 brakes. Like I said, I know that one's taken apart, but what is that? That's not poop, that's good. I know one's taken apart, but it acts like it stops. So let's try it. What do you want more? Too much? Not enough? Oh, don't do this to me. I don't know if it's got too much fuel or not enough. Man, I just painted this. I don't want to touch it. Oh. Acts like it doesn't have fuel again. Huh. It's like we're losing our prime or something. Well, I'll give it a shot and we'll try it. Big drink. All right. See what it thinks of that. It's probably gonna start for a split second now. Yeah. Huh, that's odd. Really odd. Yeah, I got no squirting action. Well, fill up our bowl a little bit. See if we can run it long enough for it to light. I might have to put a dang carburetor on this thing anyhow. I really didn't want to. I don't know if this one's able to be rebuilt or not. Feels like there's something going on in there. I really should stick a filter in there. It feels like it's pressurizing. I really didn't want to be touching this lid yet, but what do you do? That gloss was way too glossy. I should have used satin black, but last time I used satin it turned out like crap. Alright, let's see if we can move him. Brakes are holding it still at least. Power steering. The brakes aren't great, but they work. Yeah, the brakes definitely feel really one-sided. They're doing their thing though. Oh, get out of my way. Yeah. Check out ground zero there. Man, that's cool. We'll back it on out. Stick it next to its highly optioned cousin over there. We can't have this thing looking all goofy when it's outside though. We gotta roll these windows down. It's bad advertising if they're up. Top goes down, price goes up. Did we lose anything besides antifreeze? That ATF is left over from when I did the filter on it, but I don't see any oil running out or anything, so that's good. It's gonna make me so happy to clean that spot. I think it's still running, so maybe it's pulling fuel now. I don't know what to think of it all. Okay, don't bottom out, don't bottom out. All's well. Thing runs smooth when it runs. Cool. What are the chances of it restarting? Probably slim to none. It's pretty good all in all. Gosh, this thing is quiet too. So quiet. I dig it. Okay, let's get that garage shut before we lose all of our cool air. Well, it's about 7 a.m. and I'm down here already because that's gonna be like 95 today. I got all my drums taken off, front and back, and got our new packed wheel bearings on the back side with the new seals in. Took these off, took them to O'Reilly's to get them turned, but their brake lathe is down. They don't have one. They're not going to have one for a couple weeks. So all we could do was take our grinder with a flap disc, and I just kind of cut down this outer rusty edge. The drums aren't bad. They're going to clean up with some driving. So we're going to run it for now. If they give us any troubles, then we'll take them back off and we'll have them turn once they get their brake lathe back. But that's what we did front and back. We just cut the lips off the outer edge so that there's not that big grab when you try to put them back on. So I suppose we'll go through what it takes to rebuild drum brakes on these things. So I got my hose off already up here. I can't believe that fitting broke loose, but it did without too much effort. I just put the lock-in pliers on it, broke it free, and then spun it the rest of the way off with the crescent wrench, and I think it's gonna be okay. I've been soaking these things with Freol ever since we first started working on it, so I'm glad it came apart. So I suppose we'll go through the steps for rebuilding the drum brakes on this thing. So here's the front, obviously. One of the most important things to notice about the front brakes is that the front shoe is shorter than the back shoe, or not as long, I should say. You see this back one goes all the way up to where it starts to taper, and this one's down about an inch. The short shoes always go on the front side if there's a short and a long one. So first thing I like to do is just clean all this up. Now that master's, or that wheel cylinder doesn't look too bad. The brakes did kind of work on this thing. There was one brake, it was back drivers, that the shoe and all the hardware was taken apart, allegedly because it was stuck and preventing it from moving. And On that back, we're missing one of these little plungers that goes into the wheel cylinder, so we're gonna have to scare one of those up. So I just like to give everything a bath and brake parts cleaner, that way we can see what we're working with here. Next we will what do I like to do next? Pop these springs off next. We'll do that next. We'll take these springs off and we'll get the hold downs. I got this really nifty brake tool here. Yeah, we'll just get the ends of them spun off. And these aren't side specific, but I like to place them on the side that they came off of. Sometimes they are side specific. This just isn't the case here. And we'll take this little doggy, use it to push the oh man, these little retainers off of these hold down pins. See if I can get that one or not. This pin is too short is the trouble. There we go. Pin's too short or spring is too long. There we go, gently now. Try to keep all this together so we know where all of our pieces go. When you're doing drum brakes, only take apart one side at a time so that you can reference the other side. And these aren't too wet, so that indicates that our wheel cylinder's still all right, but we're going to replace it. I don't know when it was last replaced, and the brakes need a little bit of help. We're going to take these pins out too because I'm not going to use those anymore. Alright, then I'll get my 7/16 socket, get on the back side here and take that wheel cylinder off. This little bracket up here is supposed to be able to rock, but it's stuck. There it goes. Yeah, you want to make sure that this can move around freely. These wheel cylinders are a pain to get off. You got to take this backing plate off. We'll get our 13/16 up here. Rip that out. I thought that came out too. Huh, guess not. And then I think these are 5/8. 5/8 on this side with 11/16 nuts on the back. See if they're stuck or not. There you go. All right. I'll put our 11/16 wrench on the back side. There we are. I think it's just coated in blue Loctite. Get the other side. I can't even see it with all the oil on the back of this. Alright, now our backing plate's free. Great. These are 1/2 inch. Alright. Get out of there. Cool. I'm gonna go dunk this in the parts washer quick and clean it up. The thing didn't clean up a whole lot. It kind of looks like a hamburger patty. Got our new wheel cylinder. These are side specific. I think the rears might be side specific too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. All right, where's our hardware? It's marginally cleaner, at least we got all the oil off of it. Most of the oil off of it. Oh guys, this is hard to do one-handed. Okay, you get the point. Tighten that down, and then we're gonna throw it back on our spindle. We got our big nut and this little bracket. We'll put that on first. Knock it up loosely so we can still kind of spin our backing plate around. Beautiful. All right, then the bolts go in, and it's kind of tricky because you gotta line up your tie rod linkage too. These things go through the tie rod linkage. There we go, there's one. Make sure I'm putting this on the right way. Nope, it's a locking nut, only goes on one way. All right, where's the other? That one went right in. I hope it went through it. Yep, it did. Golly, one of these isn't longer than the other, is it? No. Gosh, there's a lot of oil on the back side of this. This thing must have leaked like a sieve. Alright, I gotta get you to get back a little bit. There we are. Alright, tighten these up, then we can start hanging brake parts on it. So on this backing plate, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 raised pads that the shoes ride on, and you want those pads to be as clean as possible. So we're going to take our little wire wheel here, knock off as much as we can so they look something like that. Do that to all 6 of them. Yeah, that's much better. Now you can kind of see a resemblance of a flat surface. They're pretty ugly, but they're going to work for what we're doing. Next, we got to take these little pieces that go into the wheel cylinder here. We're going to take them to the wire wheel on the bench grinder, and we're going to get those cleaned up. You want these to be nice and clean where they go into the wheel cylinder. You don't want to give that rust a chance to mess up that rubber diaphragm on it. Yeah, you want them to look like that. No pitting or anything. Knock off as much as you can. Another often overlooked step is putting some brake grease on these pads here. You don't want these pads to rust over again, and you want the shoes to be able to glide smoothly over the surface. So this is I don't know, people call it disc brake grease. I suppose you can use it on any kind of brake, but we're just gonna give these a nice coating of brake grease so that, for one, they don't rust, and 2, the shoes can slide on it nicely. And then we're also going to put some on the end of these pins here where they go into the cylinder. Alright, got our pads greased and got our pins greased, and we also greased this little rocking bracket here so that it doesn't get seized up again. Alright, now I gotta go find the hardware kit. We'll put some shoes on here. Alrighty, got our shoes on our hardware kit. The part number for the shoes is 260, and the part number for the hardware kit's H7124. These can be kind of difficult to figure out the compatibility for these because the website doesn't do a very good job at naming hardware kits for these old cars, and usually you got to go to the book to find them, and a lot of guys don't want to have to look in the book. So just remember that part number if you're dealing with one of these. Alright, so let's start getting these guys set up to get mounted on here. I was mistaken, it's H7125 because these front drums, they have the even length springs on the front, and that H7124 had 2 different sizes of blue springs, so we need the blue springs that are the same length. So we'll tear this guy open, we'll put our pins in, and then we'll start assembling our shoes like that. Sometimes these little guys get stuck in this arm, so stick them in a vise, work them around. And they'll pop out. We're going to clean this up with the wire wheel because this has to be able to rock. You want it clean where that's going to sit at. Watch me lose a finger. Like that. We'll take our new cup. Once again, go over to our brake grease. Put some on both sides. Stick the cup back in. Put it in there. All right, so then we'll get our spring down here and our adjuster part. We'll clean that up next. So that spring is mocked up the same way that it was right there. We'll go over to our wire wheel again. Oh man, this might not want to come apart. Ooh. All right. Put you in the vise. There we are. So that needs to be able to spin freely on there. We'll clean this up. Don't lose that little washer that's on there if you can avoid it. Yeah, like that. That thing just flew into oblivion. That's okay. Alright, now I've got to get this guy spun apart. Our adjuster is a little seized. There we go. We'll back this guy out until the threads start to look clean. Then, you guessed it. Clean up those threads so that this can spin nicely when you got it all put together and you're adjusting it. Beautiful. That's a lot gooder. Once again, we're gonna grease it. Grease this side. Great. And grease our threads. That's probably a bit much. All right. Run it back in. Yeah, it spins really freely now. Okay. Now, see if I can do this one-handed, but it's got to go in like that because that wheel has to line up with that window here on the backing plate so that we can adjust it. Okay, got our adjuster and our spring on our shoes. We got the short shoe on the front, long shoe on the back. And now we are going to set it on the backing plate and use the pins to help hold everything on. All right, we'll get it set up top here first. And then Put our pins in the back. All right, we got those poking through. Now we can take our adjuster arm, hold the pin in from the back side, slide all that together, and it helps to put this rod on first, because it can be a pain to deal with later on if you forget it. There you go. And then it goes, it hooks on the back side here. I might not be able to get it right now. Well, I got it hooked up here at least. This can be a bit of a juggling act. You're gonna wish that you had 4 arms. Come on, little buddy. There you go. Nope, just kidding. Dang it. All right, everything's loosely put together over there. We're gonna take our, oh darn, our new yellow hold down spring, our new cap. This is gonna be a pain. Yeah, this isn't the most fun. Try to hold all this together by a thread. Oh, nope, there goes our pin. All right, start over. Oh, this is one of the most aggravating things. Oh yeah, especially when that happens. Yeah, you guys wonder why I don't film this. This is, that spring's, that rocker up there's being unruly. All right, gotta get all you lined up. God, what a pain. Hundred things to keep in line here, and none of them want to be. But once you get these hold down pins put together, things get a lot easier. All right, we got our yellow spring on that side. We're gonna put our green spring up front. They give us any washers? Nope. All right, once again, hold it on the back side. And then hope and pray you can put it on straight. It's a pain. It's aggravating, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. although it would appear that I've never done this before. There we go. All right, so this needs to be up higher. There you go, that's about where the bottom needs to ride at on that wheel. And then before I forget, we've got a spring that we've got to put back in there. If I can find it, here we are. And it just wedges in there. The skinny part of it goes on the arm, and then the large part of it goes on this little hump that's on the back side of the shoe. There we go. And it just sandwiches into place. All right. Just make sure we've got everything tight up top. There we go. That still kind of rocks. Take that spring. This is where these pliers can be really handy. Here's one. If I can get it in there. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. This can take a couple attempts sometimes. I should probably be wearing safety glasses, but I mean, of course I'm wearing safety glasses. You dog. Yeah, this one's always the hardest. Oh, I almost had it. This dang hook on the tool's going the wrong way. That or I don't know how to use it. Goodness. I just pull it on there. Alright, we're gonna try it the old-fashioned way. This way either works great or it ruins your fingers. Take some big old needle nose, locking pliers, clamp them on there as hard as you possibly can. And pull. Oh, there we go. All right, there's one. Whew. All right, 3 more times. Got my front brakes assembled on this side, passenger side. I got the rears off. Got the wheel cylinders taken out on both sides. So we've got the ends of our brake lines exposed on the back and on the front still. We haven't put our hoses on. Reason being, we're gonna do the quick and dirty brake flush here. So we got the line taken off from the master cylinder. broke off is more like it. And we're gonna take our air hose, shove it in there, and we're gonna blow. And we're gonna get all that old brake fluid out, blow it all over the ground. Had some distance, didn't we? It's still dripping, but it's coming. We got a little bit out of there. How about here? Yeah, we got some there. That's ATF. Don't worry about that. Oh man, we got a lot out of the back. Cool. It's gonna drip for a while, but hey, at least we know that there's not any blockages. That was my biggest worry. I would back feed it the other way, but I don't want to blow brake fluid all over my paint. Well, you know what? We're gonna try it. We're gonna put something over that hole down there and then blow it up on the wheel side. All right, we got our box cover and our open fitting down there. Let's go up in here. This isn't a really great approach. There we go. I could hear it coming out on the other side. Yeah, we got some mist going on. All right, let's do it over here too, just for laughs. Oh, here we go. Make sure you get this in your eyes. Yep, hear it on the other side. Cool. We got our lines flushed. I suppose while I'm up here, I'll put a new master on it. I can't get a booster. I can get that one rebuilt, but I can't buy a new one from O'Reilly's. Seems like the brakes still kind of worked, so we'll just replace the master, run a new line. Thought there was a trailer coming down the street, but I think it's just the marching band. Fair's next week. Oh my! There we go. About punched my air cleaner with all my might. So I think it's just these two nuts is all that holds this master on. There shouldn't be anything that connects it to the brake booster. Other than rust. There we go. This master still seemed to work, but for what new ones cost, we're just gonna go through the whole brake system basically. Well, aside from our drums right now. Yep, so that's all we got is a push rod back there. We got a little bit of seepage on the back side of it, but it's not so bad. Not bad enough that it ruined our brake booster. We got our master set up in our vise full of .3. We got that port plugged. And we're just gonna take a screwdriver and plunge it until we quit getting bubbles out. We should quit getting bubbles, and then it should get harder and harder to plunge. Alright, I've been pumping it for a few minutes now. I can't push it in as far anymore, and we're starting to get a little geyser instead of bubbles when we push it in now. So we're starting to get it bled. Yeah, coming along. You don't want to let the fluid level get down to those holes. Nice. Yeah, I think we're there on the almost there on the front port. We're getting there on the back one. That's pretty much the gist of it. You can see I've got very little travel with the screwdriver now. We have our bearings packed, our spindle greased, all of our rubber hoses replaced. Now it's time to put our hub on. There we go. Nice. We obviously need to adjust that brake, but I'm glad to see that it's spinning well. Take our washer, and our nut. These can be a pain to get started because the ends of the threads get yacked pretty easily. So now we are going to tighten that nut to our liking. And this isn't something that you gotta overthink. Take our 1 1/16 wrench. Just want to run it up snug so that we seat the bearing and the seal and everything. Back it off about a half a turn. You want to be able to spin it. So we've got how much of a rotation? About 3/4 of a turn when we spin that thing. We want about 1 full revolution. So we're going to back this off some. We're going to take our nut back off because you want to be able to spin that drum probably at least 1 entire revolution with your brake drag and everything. And the thing about the adjusters is that you can't back off the brake once the hub is on. So that means we're just a little too tight. So let's take all this back off. You're gonna get dirty when you do this. Make sure you don't drop your bearing out the front. And what we need to do is, see this arm here, it pushes itself up against the wheel on the adjuster. So in order to back it off, we need to pull the arm back off the wheel and then spin the wheel in the direction that the arm would not originally allow it to go. Get a couple turns out of it. Alright, shove you back together. Try to put everything on straight. There we go. Put our nut on again. We're seated. Back off a little. Yeah, now check that out. Plenty loose now, so that gives us plenty of room to adjust the brake shoes on the back side. So we're going to spin this. We're going to tighten the nut simultaneously. And you want to get this nut pretty much as tight as you can with your arm, and then you're going to back it off to a point where the nut just starts to get loose right before it's about to break free, and then that's where you're going to pin your castle nut at. So as you can see, now that we've got it completely seated, we've got a little bit of brake drag, which is good. That's what we want. Well, I want a little bit more than that, especially because these are old drums with new shoes that we're going to have to mate together. since we were unable to get them turned. All right, we'll take our cotter pin, shove that through our diagonal cutters. Fold it back. Then I like to cut off the end so that I can fold the end of it inside of the little indentation at the end of the spindle. And then push it. Then you want to trim this one far enough so that we can get the cap over the end of our spindle here. Push it back too a little bit for good measure. Find our cap. Clean the old junk out of the end of it. There's a lot in there. That looks nice. Reinstall. There. Ooh, this thing isn't going to stick, I don't think. Yeah, our cap is plumb wore out. Well, grab one off the shelf and we'll slam a new one in there. Dorman part number 13975 for those that are interested. I want to gently put this together so that we don't mess up the outside of this little cap and it doesn't rub on anything on the inside. Just run it in the chisel on the lip. Alright, good for another 50 years. So here we are on the back side of the drum and the backing plate. There's this hole down at the bottom of the backing plate, and on the other side of that hole right inside is the star wheel for your adjuster. So if you'll remember, we've got that arm that pushes up against the adjuster that prevents us from loosening the wheel. So keep that into consideration when you are adjusting your brake. We need to pry up on the back side of the wheel like that in order to get that wheel to spin. If we try to pry the other direction, it's not going to spin because that arm is catching it. So this can be kind of a pain to get a bite on the back of that wheel, but we'll see if I can do it. And you'll hear the wheel clicking against that arm. You can hear it clicking now. And just rotate it every once in a while. Kind of judge how tight we're getting. It takes a lot of clicks to make a difference. I'm getting it now. Now we've got some grab. Now if I was dealing with a turned drum, then I'd probably consider that too much, but these new shoes on this old drum are gonna wear together. So we're gonna roll with it. If it starts smoking, well, then we know that we've got it too tight. All right, let's bleed them. Already got our first leak. You want to get them tight, but you don't want to get them too tight. You get these lines too tight, you'll ruin the flares. Yeah, check that out. We're about empty. Good. That means that we've pushed a lot of fluid downstream. Got our master topped off, got the fluid wiped off that was dripping, and now we're gonna take our brake clean And we're going to use that because then that will remove all of the fluid that was dripping, so that if it leaks again, we can tell that it's brake fluid leaking. This is just going to be an ongoing thing sometimes. Let's spray some on our fitting down there too. I can't tell if that was a leak or a drip. I'm going to get the air and we're going to blast all these fittings dry. So now any fluid that we see now should be brake fluid. It shouldn't be brake cleaner. So far so good. All right, I topped it off. Let's hit it again. Let's do 10-20 pumps. And you want to go all the way to the floor as far as you can, so that we're moving brake fluid to both our front and our rear brakes, because I believe the rear brakes get fluid pushed to them first, so that you're not locking up your front wheels when you're trying to stop. How about now, huh? Still a little more under there. Maybe that was residual. Maybe not. This part can be super aggravating because it's probably going to be all the lines that you just made that are the ones that are leaking. Probably should have checked our level. It hasn't gone down much. Is that finger dry? Yep. Yeah, still. Bummer, dude. Give you a little more. I've had to get pretty nuts with these in the past. I can't tell if that bottom one is getting dripped on or if it's actually leaking. This is a pretty poor approach here. We'll give it some more. It looks wet. Now it's dry. Let's try another 10 times. See where that gets us. Man, still. Yep, that's definitely brake fluid. I can smell it. At least the bottom one looks dry now. We'll reef on it some more, I guess. think we're okay. Boy, we had to crank on that thing. All right, let's check out our other. That looks really dry. How about the backside? That backside is leaking. All right, we'll get our 5/8 wrench, get on the back there. Yeah, you really gotta crank on those sometimes because they're only sealed by that crush washer. All right. Brake cleaner again. Make sure you really clean it off well. Make sure you get this in your eyes. Like that. There. After brake cleaner and air, that fitting back there should be bone dry. Yeah, no, I don't see anything leaking out of it. Alright, how's our fluid level? Still good. Don't mind my my short shorts. It's dang hot. It's gonna be like 100 today, and apparently nobody makes correct length shorts for 6'2", 160-pound males anymore. About now, huh? Yep. Now we are good. Nice and dry. Let's check the other side. Yep, our fitting up top is good. How about this son of a bee sting? Oh man, more fluid still. Bottom is dry. Up top is dry. And the bottom one looks dry. All right, let's see if we can handle that pesky fitting up there again. That one looks nice. So does that one. Assuming there's fluid back here. That doesn't look wet. I don't think that looks wet. And that looks dry. That's all residual. The fitting itself is very dry. So that's great. All right, let's start to bleed him. Here's what we're up to. We got the master cylinder topped off, pumped it about 10 times, and we're using this pry bar to hold our brake pedal all the way down while we bleed it. So we need to keep that open so that fluid keeps flowing through the brake system. And we're going to start at the wheel that is furthest away from the master cylinder. So we're going to do this one, then the driver's side rear, front passenger, and then front driver. All right, got our bleeder line and our reservoir hooked up, and our wrench on our bleeder is going to be hard for me to do. We're going to crack it about a quarter turn and see if anything comes out. Oh yeah, we got a lot of air and some fluid. All right, the fluid quit moving. So we're gonna go and reprime our brakes. Whoa, we got fluid fast. That's awesome. We got a lot of air out too. Let's do 10 times. check our level because we probably lost a lot of fluid. Yes, we did. It's just about dry. All right, brakes are pumped up again. Reservoir's topped off. We really don't want that reservoir to run empty because that defeats the purpose of bleeding them. We're trying to get air out of the system. Okay, let's crack it again. We got a lot more solid fluid that time. And you don't need to crack that bleeder super far either. Quarter turn might even be a bit much. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's finally starting to feel like we've got some brake pedal. All right, we didn't lose nearly as much fluid that time. Good, good, good. Crack it again and see what we get. We're gonna notice a big difference this time, I think. Oh yeah, we got just about solid fluid. All right, let's do it again. Few more bubbles at the beginning, but then solid. All right, let's try it again. There's some bubbles. More bubbles. More bubbles. I think this will be our last time at this wheel. I typically like to see about 5 seconds of constant fluid. I saw some bubbles at the beginning, so I'm going to try it again. Hell's bells. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, got this wheel done. Check out all that pretty clean brake fluid. Good thing we flushed those lines like we did. All right, so now you do the passenger one on the driver's side. Sorry, rear one on the driver's side, front passenger, and then front driver. There's the front driver's wheel. I think this is going to be our last time. 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool, solid. Try not to squirt ourselves with this. It does happen. Doesn't feel very good in the eyes. All right. Let's check our pedal. Yeah, we've only got a little over an inch of travel. Outstanding. We don't need that anymore, I don't think. Well, how's our fluid look? Not bad. We'll top it off, put some wheels under this guy, and let's roll him out the door. Let's go drive this thing. I can't believe how quiet that engine is. There's not a hint of valve train noise in that thing anymore. Also don't really know if it's charging or not. That's all right, it's running right now. We got people on standby. Went into gear immediately. Oh my gosh, it is hot out here. It looks like it's gonna rain. Great day for a convertible. Fuel gauge also has not moved at all. Brakes feel good though. Engine is responsive. Okay, mostly responsive. Keep in mind, I haven't done anything to that carburetor. That carb has not been opened up in probably 40 years. Brakes feel good though. Tires do not feel good. We might not have tires by the time we get back. Oh, this is a big hole. Feels good though. There's something pretty white trash about driving around without a hood on. If we really wanted to look cool, we'd take the springs off, but whatever. Seems like we have blinker. It even cancels, wow. Pretty good acceleration. Yeah. Quite pleasant, really. Brakes. It goes to the... it might pull a little, I'm not sure. Not bad though, all in all. There's a raindrop. There's third gear. I'm not gonna go too nuts because these tires are deceivingly awful. I'm happy with the brakes, honestly. And the steering is just terrific on this thing. I don't know if I'm morbid or what, but I feel pretty at ease in a cemetery. Really at ease. You're still running, right? Yep, okay, we're good. Smells like a new engine. Well, it's not new. It smells like new paint though. Dang it, our thermostat housing is leaking again. All in all, not a bad looking car. Super quiet. Super good driving too. Brakes feel good, engine feels good, transmission feels good. Looks like we're running nice and steady. We're gonna get dumped on. We are gonna get rain. Which is fine, we haven't had rain in a long time. And dang it, is it hot out. Heat index is gonna be 110 today if it hasn't been there already. Great convertible weather, you know. We don't have a mirror. man. Steering, truly one finger. Gosh, this thing sounds good. I'm so happy with it. You gonna power stand or not? Through first and second it did. Oh man, we're lacking a little bit of fuel. There, now it's coming around. We had a bit of a starvation. She needs a little bit more. Raindrops are getting a little more steady now. Thing's pretty snappy. We got to work on that fuel delivery trouble, but it had a hard time recovering. We power stood it all right. It even shifted. Steering's tight too. This thing is good. This is a good driver. We don't have a blinker indicator, but I hear it flashing. Dang, we don't have a rear view mirror either. I'm so pleased, guys. After a year of staring at this car, I'm so happy that this is how it's ended. It needs a little tuning, but it'll make a decent one tire fire. Cool. Well, all in all, got a few little tweaks to do to it, but as you can see, this thing's running quite okay. Some systems need a little bit of work. We'll get the top working. We'll get some leaks dialed in, but all in all, we're laying scratches. I think this is like a 338 horse motor, so it's no slouch. Thanks again for watching, guys. This one's gonna be available. Please like, comment, subscribe. Really appreciate it. Can't wait for the next video. See you later.